Coming up next, a rock band that truly may be the most underappreciated of the entire classic rock era. We just talked about them. I love these guys. We actually talked about them in a countdown, and we got so many requests for a deeper dive, we decided to go for it. The band created a classic album that plays like a greatest hits album, truly, including today's focus song, a song where the singer came up with like 20 different similar sounding adjectives, and he combined it with the sound of a famous 70s handheld video game, one of the first. In fact, to this day, most people don't know the sound is from this nostalgic game. You're going to love this. Also, a sax solo that was recorded in the men's room. It all culminated in a song that Paul McCartney lists as one of his favorites, but then a key band member, the co-lead, hated the song. That made the main singer and writer wonder if it would be a blessing or a curse. But the drummer, he knew it was a smash. In fact, this drummer bet the unsure singer $10 it'd be a top 10 hit. It was a bet that the singer was happy he lost because the record, it sold 20 million copies. Coming up next, the story of a 70s classic on Professor of Rock. Hey, music junkies, Professor of Rock, always here to celebrate the greatest artists and the greatest songs of all time. Straight up, if you love rock and roll, and it's all a part of what makes you, simply subscribe below to get the stories from the creators. We all go through bouts of confusion and searching as we are coming of age in our youth. We're trying to find our place in the world, our self-worth, and we're trying to find the answer to that defining question, who am I? Supertramp co-founder Roger Hodgson was a happy child, full of wonder and surprise. He wrote about those carefree days of his youth in the lyrics of a song, "When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful."
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful.
A miracle. Oh, it was beautiful, magical, and all the birds in the trees, will they be singing so happily, joyfully, playfully, watching me.
Oh, joyfully, oh, playfully, watching me.
Roger's blissful innocence turned to bitter frustration when his parents sent him away to a private boarding school when he was only 9 years old. When Roger got out of school at age 19, he felt totally confused, totally empty. The 10 years that he spent away from his family at one of England's finest private schools was a traumatic period for Roger. There he was a young adult, educated by a curriculum from one of England's most prestigious private schools, and he felt like he learned nothing about what really matters in life. Throughout Roger's childhood, he believed that he was taught all about the outside world and nothing about what is inside each of us, each person. We are taught how to function, how to behave in public, but there is no guidance on how to function inwardly. In Roger's words, we go from the innocence of childhood to the confusion of adolescence that often builds cynicism and delusionment in adulthood.
Oh, clinical, oh, intellectual, cynical.
Out of that bewildering conclusion came a burning question from deep inside. Who am I? Could someone please tell me who I am?
Tell me who I am.
To find answers and a sense of purpose, Roger turned to the one thing that always connected him spiritually. One that many of you watching this channel can relate to. He turned to music. And he began articulating what would be his seminal composition, the Logical Song.
Questions run so deep.
Roger began writing the Logical Song when he was only 19, during a time when he had many dreams that he hoped would come true, including making it big in the music business. Now, just before composing the lyrics, he felt compelled to find a harmonium, an instrument also referred to as a pump organ. Now, he found one at an elderly woman's home in the English countryside and purchased it for just 24 pounds. Roger used that harmonium to create melodies for many songs that he would submit to Supertramp, including the Logical Song, and the title track for Supertramp's best-selling album, Breakfast in America, an album that my dad handed down to me.
But there's not a lot I can do.
Because of what Roger called its magical quality, he used that same harmonium to play on recorded tracks for Breakfast in America. Roger had written the chords and hadn't thought too much of what he had come up with until one day when he was playing the chords on his harmonium, the melody suddenly came to him. As he started to sing along to his freshly invented melody, the first word that came to Roger was liberal. Instantly, he rattled off the words that rhymed with liberal, or went with it anyway. Intellectual, radical, logical. It was during that sequence of wordplay that the whole concept for the logical song came into focus. Context, lyrics, and melody. During a demanding tour of Supertramp's fifth studio album, Even in the Quietest Moments, Hodgson steadfastly labored to complete the logical song during the band's sound checks. A few hours before the start of each show, he would do it. The logical song was finished about 6 months before Hodgson presented his composition to Supertramp co-founder Rick Davies and his other bandmates. Hodgson and Davies led the group to LA's Village Recorder Studios to record their sixth LP, Breakfast in America. They did that with producer Peter Henderson. That began in May of 1978. Now, although Henderson claimed that the overall vibe was a happy one and that everyone played nicely, Hodgson disputed that claim, stating that he and Davies did not get along because of their increasingly different lifestyles, and that Davies disliked the songs that Hodgson brought in for the record, but he kept his feelings to himself and feared that the band would veto his opinions. Actually, melody maker journalist Harry Doherty, who spent time with the band during that recording, those recording sessions, he said that in the 3 days that he was there with them, the two co-leaders, he didn't see them speak to each other once. Now, those who know him best describe Roger Hodgson as a deep existential man who is a perfectionist in the studio. When recording for the logical song began, Hodgson dictated what each member of the band would play. He was the main arranger, going through each section of the track, even down to drum fills. Roger equated the process to putting together a jigsaw puzzle. He didn't want anything extraneous to be included. Every part of the logical song was orchestrated, and that is perhaps why the song sounds so good. The crystalline production of the song was almost as important as its writing, its arrangement, and its performance. Similar to Pink Floyd's meticulous engineering, Supertramp were respected as an audiophiles band. Supertramp made records that stereo salesmen would use to demonstrate superior transparency and the power of high fidelity. The esteemed 5-piece that put Supertramp at the top of progressive rock royalty included Dougie Thompson on bass, Bob Siebenberg on drums, castanets, timbales, woodblocks, and the all-important cowbell. Roger Hodgson, of course, lead and backing vocals, the Wurlitzer electric piano, electric, and 12-string acoustic guitars. There's a great Rick Davies, Oberheim and Elka synthesizers, acoustic piano, Hammond organ, clavinet with wah-wah, and backing vocal. Although the liner notes didn't stipulate, Davies wrote the vocal harmony section on the second chorus. And the fifth member, John Hellowell, was huge on the logical song. Hellowell's sax work on the track is an inspired component that enhanced the thought-provoking vigor of the logical song. The Village Studios had very tight quarters. There was only one recording booth, and Roger was usually occupying the booth to perform his vocal. Now, to avoid any risk of a bleed over from the saxophone, Henderson revealed that he had to stick Hellowell in the only unoccupied room available to do a sax solo, and that room happened to be the men's room. Hellowell had just enough diva in him to complain about having to perform in the toilet, but according to Henderson, in the end, he was quite happy with the results. LOL was the go-to guy for special effects on the Logical song, such as the heavy sigh in the intro. He blew the whistle that signals the song's outro. And LOL became the unplanned culprit behind the bleeping goal sound from an electronic Mattel football game that he and Rick Davies loved to play between takes. Right after Hodgson sings the digital, there's that high-pitched trilling sound, which many 70s and 80s kids will remember well. Actually, the Mattel football game was borrowed from English producer-engineer Richard Digby Smith after they heard him playing with it in a neighboring room at the Village Recorder. The sound actually indicates that the team has surrendered possession of the ball. You know, it's interesting how songs work, as I distinctly remember noticing this when my dad was playing. The copy of Breakfast in America right there, the record when I was really young. I was maybe 6 or 7 years old. He had the exact football game, and I would try to play it, but I remember recognizing the sound, and I excitedly told my dad, "That's the sound from that football game." He picked up the needle and set it back about 30 seconds, and he kept listening to it over and over again, and he said, "You know what? You're right. Wow, you really have a great ear for music. That's a gift." I remember, word for word, I was pretty excited that a grown-up, especially my own dad, would say that. It gave me some confidence. And with the guys in Supertramp, apparently Hodgson recalled that the band and production crew heard the sound of the Mattel game echoing around the studio all day long, so they decided to have a little fun with it, and they put the effect onto the recording of the Logical song. Like I said, the handheld game belonged to the engineer Smith, who was working in the other studio, who Henderson jokes, I quote, "is still waiting for his royalty check for its use," end of quote. The band got downright wacky with the end section of the song by piling on overdubs of wah-wah clavinet, timbales, and cowbell. Roger continued to lighten the serious mood of the song in the run-out with his very illogical utterance, 1, 2, 3, 5. When Breakfast in America was ready for mastering, Siebenberg said he had no doubt that the album was going to be a hit, that it was going to be successful. In fact, he bet Davies $100 that it would break the top 10. Siebenberg won the bet in resounding fashion. I mean, Breakfast in America was #1 for 6 weeks and ended up selling over 20 million units around the world. One of the biggest records of its time. Davies was undoubtedly happy to lose that bet, I'm sure. However, he framed the Ben Franklin with a plaque reading, "You'd better not spend it, you rat." Peter Henderson's masterful work on Breakfast in America was honored by his peers when he received the well-deserved Grammy Award for the Best Engineered Album of 1979. Don't you look at my girlfriend, she's the only one I got. Roger Hodgson's message in the Logical song was incredibly incisive in 1979 when he was 29. Perhaps even more prescient today in his 70s. I mean, consider the relevance of Roger's heating in verse 2. I said, "Watch what you say, or they'll be calling you a radical, a liberal, a fanatical, criminal. Or won't you sign up your name? We'd like to feel you're acceptable, respectable, oh presentable, a vegetable." The society we live in today, I mean, it's so overly sensitive and paranoid. You have to think long and hard, before you even open your mouth to say anything, or risk being ostracized for having a difference of opinion or being canceled. As the lead single from Breakfast in America, the Logical song became Supertramp's all-time biggest hit. Hit #7 in the UK, #6 on the Billboard Hot 100 here in America. It was #1 in Canada and #3 in South Africa. Paul McCartney, of all people, named the Logical song as his favorite song of 1979, which was a huge honor to Roger Hodgson and the band, the Beatle. For his inspired songcrafting, Roger Hodgson was given the prestigious Ivor Novello Award from the British Academy of Composers and Songwriters. The German band Scooter created the techno version of the Logical song titled Ramp. The Logical song, which I gotta say, no offense, but it sounded like the Chipmunks on amphetamines. Scooter's EDM interpretation of the Logical song reached #1 in several countries in 2002. Went to #1 in Norway, Ireland, and Australia, and it returned the song to the top 10 in the UK. It was also used to great effect in the Paul Thomas Anderson film Magnolia, and also on an episode of The Simpsons.
When I was young, it seemed that life was so wonderful.
It's had such an effect on all of us who came of age at that time. To be more precise, in the Logical song, Hodgson condemned an educational system that was seemingly focused on categorical rhetoric, as opposed to cultivating self-awareness and self-fulfillment. His words continue to hit an emotional chord with people of all ages, all walks of life, begging the eternal questions: who am I? And what's it all for? It's the mystery of life that baffles us, yet motivates us to seek knowledge and adventure, spirituality. Roger Hodgson came to a life-changing realization 4 years after the release of Breakfast in America, when he discovered that although he had achieved the ultimate dream of making it big in the business, what he'd always hoped for, it didn't fill the emptiness that lingered from his childhood. Roger chose to walk away from the white heat of rock and roll spotlight, and he left Supertramp, the band that he co-created. He did that in '83, moving his family far away from the Los Angeles music scene to live a simpler lifestyle that was close to nature, one that allowed him to spend more time with his children as they were growing up. Instead of sending his children away, he and his wife brought the family together to help his kids learn about themselves and gave them the nurturing that he was denied as a child.
Questions run so deep.
Not only teaching us through the beauty of this song, but also showing us by example that no matter what pain we may have experienced through our journey in life, we all have the power to break the chain and present a different path to our children, to their future. Thank you, Roger. And thank you for watching. Leave us a comment below about the great Roger Hodgson, Supertramp, and the masterpiece that is Breakfast in America. So many great songs. What does this song mean to you? What memories are tied to it? Now, if you like our content, we do invite you to subscribe below so you always get our daily content. Help us keep the music alive. It's so important. Until next time. 3 chords and the truth.